the last time we talked, I'd already done some damage before I spoke to you. I think I had a celebratory candy bar before I had seen you. And by one, I mean two.
You mean to tell me that last week when we had our conversation, you had not one, but two celebratory candy bars and you did not mention it?
I love freedom.
More than anything, other than candy bars. I have some good news to report.
What's that?
For 8 weeks in a row, you have lost over 1 pound. For 8 weeks in a row. I can say that as a fact. This past week, week number 8, you lost 1.1 pounds. And that's 8 weeks in a row of weight loss. And to add to that good news, it's a grand total of 20.4 pounds in 8 weeks. That would be, if my math is correct, 10.2 pounds a month. 10.2 pounds a month, brother. You have not gone 1 week without losing weight. I am thoroughly impressed with these numbers. I love what I see, but I'm done inflating your ego because the
less than, go a little longer, man.
No, I think I've gone far enough. The less than good news, not bad news. I will not classify it as bad news by any stretch of the imagination. But out of 8 weeks, this past week would be the 7th worst week in terms of lost weight at 1.1. The worst week was week 5 at 0.9. Okay, so I remember last week what you told me. You said the week prior, where you lost 2.7 pounds, you made sure to go a little bit more strict because you didn't want to get back into the 340s. You wanted to do everything you possibly could to be well into the 330s, so that way you would never see 340 again. So you ramped up the diet. You were really motivated to be in the 330s. You wanted to make sure it stayed that way. So you wanted to give yourself a buffer. And you did exactly that, 2.7 pounds, an incredible week. You said as a follow-up this past week, because you went extra strict the week prior, yeah, I'm at 335 now, so I can loosen up a little bit. I mean, there's a little bit of room for celebration. I'm in the mid 330s, 335. I don't have too much to worry about, so I've got a nice 5-pound buffer zone. I'll be fine to take it a little bit easier now this week. And you did exactly that from the looks of the number. Now, I want to see whether this 1.1 pound actually correlates with what happened this week. Is this a surprise? Is this what you would expect? Were you doing another one of your infamous tests to see how much you could push the envelope? Okay, I think I'm on to something. All right, take over, brother. The floor is yours.
Yes, I was definitely testing the boundary because again, I felt like I had earned the opportunity to. I was pleased with myself with the performance last week. I knew that there was probably not a reasonable human chance that I was going to enter the 320s this week, and likely not even in the next 2 weeks, based on the pace that I've been going. So, my main goal was to make sure that I continued in the right direction, but I also wanted to loosen up and just see what I could get away with. So,
give me some details on the loosening up. I mean, I'm intrigued to see what you did differently this week as compared to the past 7 weeks in terms of your diet, of course, being primary, and then any exercise you did or did not do.
So the exercise, I was really hopeful that I was going to be able to do 3 to 5 walks. I only did 2.
15 minute, 20 minute?
Yeah, at least 15, probably 15 to 20. I will say, I'm noticing that my walks are faster paced. as a
Good.
result, probably of the loss of weight. I just
20 pounds for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm moving quicker. So I'm excited about that. So like literally I haven't specifically timed myself, but I know I'm moving around. If I take a walk around the block, it's moving faster. I'm not feeling sluggish like I did. So I'm excited about that already. But yeah, the week, the last time we talked, I'd already done some damage before I spoke to you. It's just, I think I had a celebratory candy bar before I had seen you. And by one, I mean two.
You mean to tell me that last week when we had our conversation,
Yeah,
you had not one, but two celebratory candy bars and you did not mention it.
I didn't feel the need to, I did not feel the need to confess my sins at that point because I thought, I didn't know what was going to come for the whole week, So I figured I would pay my penance today for whatever sins I committed between last week and now. And so here I am, I'm bearing my soul. So, yeah, I mean, I did what I did. I was loose on the weekend and, this week, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I had a 3-day weekend. So I ended up working, right? Yeah, 3-day weekend. So I ended up working on Monday. So I went to work. But like oddly, the work days are actually more helpful for structure for me. So and yeah, I'm finding out. I'm still every week. I'm learning more. So like even when I'm having, I guess, what is a setback on some level, I'm still learning, and it's ultimately going to help me. So structure is good. Freedom. It is not. I'm not saying bad because I love freedom. Love my freedom. But
more than anything.
Yeah, I do.
Other than candy bars.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like I got to be guarded when I know those times are coming up. I just got to be in the right mindset. And so if there's a time where freedom's coming, I need to be doing my best to prepare mentally for that. But like some of this is actually like like even when I do things that can be damaging right now, it's still controlled like on a different level that I've ever been. So like I'm not going in the tank. I'm worried that I messed up and I can't fix it, or I'm not losing my mind and just going all the way out of control and just what, I had 3 Oreos, so I might as well keep 3 bags of Oreos or anything like that. It's just like just under control, and it's with reasonable judgment. And like today I caught myself, I mean, somebody tried to put sweets in my face and I was like easily just like, no, now I'm good. Like, I don't even want it, and what that would have been 2 months ago, I'd have been all over it. So it wasn't even like a hard thing to say no to that. So it's like a decision that's under, it's intentional decision making. And so like, that's why even when I'm indulging, I'm still losing, and so I'm excited about that. And I feel like I can still like when I am thoroughly motivated. You already know this. I am thoroughly motivated when I get to that decade mark where it's close. I'm going to be like super like I'm ready to push, and I can probably go to higher lengths to lose a bigger chunk during those times. And then, so like, I think there's going to be cycles where I'm losing at a higher rate. And then there's going to be cycles where I'm probably going to be a little more lax just for my own sanity. But but I'm pretty determined that every week is going to have to be, in my mind, I'm just like determined. Every week has to be a positive week. And by that, I mean a negative week. I got to move. That number has got to go down. It's got to go down. And so, and I'm really, my goal isn't, it's got to be at least a pound. Like that 0.9 week, that's not good. I literally need to see one whole number come down on that left side of the scale. So, if I can do that, I'm not going to allow myself to be disappointed. I'm going to get my money's worth, if you will. Like I'm going to have enough satisfaction with any splurging I do to get to know, like, okay, I deserve that, and in what I didn't lose. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure that if I get really, really strict, and I'm really sure I'm capable of this. I'm pretty sure if I get really, really strict one week, I could probably lose 3 to 3.5 pounds in a week based on what I've learned over the last few weeks. So, and I think I have the will to do that at some point. So, I don't know if that's this week, but I think it might be the week after. So I don't know. We'll see how the timing works out, but, yeah, it's just, I'm excited because I am learning every week. I'm learning something. May not be what you want me to learn.
I look at the numbers and I'm just doing some calculations here because we're coming up on Thanksgiving. And just to let you know, you will not be weighing in the day after Thanksgiving. But
thank you for that.
You'll be weighing in. Yes, I'm giving you, because one of the biggest mistakes that people make is to go into a day like Thanksgiving, if they're on a routine like this, and then weigh themselves the next day trying to determine how much damage they did, which is really an inaccurate figure because you don't know how much of that is water weight. The majority of it likely is. And then you step on that scale and it says something that's an abomination. And automatically you feel, oh my God, I can't get away with this ever again. And I feel very depressed over that. I don't want you to jump to conclusion. And it's very easy to do, even if rationally you know that the majority of that is water weight, it will go away. Just seeing the number on the scale is enough to discourage you to the nth degree. So I would say the day after Thanksgiving, which is literally, Thanksgiving is one of the biggest eating days of the entire year for the population of America. I would just throw that Friday out and we will meet. We'll meet, but we'll talk about what you did because that could be entertaining. We'll talk about what happened that day, but we will not come up with a number until the week after, which means the week after, then you're going to have to, in your own head, calculate, well, I don't know what the scale said because I'm not going to step on it, but I do know what I did. And I do know that I have to weigh in next Friday. And I do know it has to be less than it was the last weigh in. So I'm going to have to do whatever I have to do to get there. And you're going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. You're going to know, I'm going to give myself the latitude on Thursday and Friday, whatever, for that weekend. And then the next week, I'm going to have to make up for it. So with that going through your head, you're going to be able to make choices during that time, whether you decide to moderate some of the quantity in order to make sure that you don't do too much damage, or just do whatever you want on those days. And then the following week become more strict than you usually are to try and counteract it. Really doesn't matter how you do it. You do it the way that's most comfortable for you because this is your plan. And you want to do it in such a way that it feels like you have the freedom to make those decisions as you go along. And you will find, just like you told me earlier, you're making better decisions throughout this whole process. Like you normally, if you were last week when you weighed in, you had those 2 candy bars, which you abruptly left out of the conversation uh, that we had that last week. Which would have been fun if you would have revealed that. I would have been proud of you just for having yes. I would have been proud of you for having the courage to tell everybody this is what I just did, and I'm proud and I'm happy about it because I just weighed in. I just weighed in at what 335.3. I'm right in the middle. I'm really happy about what I've done, and I want to go ahead now and celebrate. And I feel like I deserve it. I think that, and you could have had. Now this is the follow up to that. You know, you had 2 candy bars. You told me a couple weeks ago when you're walking through the aisle, you could have 12. And I know full well that you were telling the truth. Okay. I know that, and 12 might be an understatement. So if you could have had 12 candy bars and you only had 2 after losing 2.7 pounds and hitting the mid 330s, I think that's a win. I think if anything, that's cause for celebration. So, you know, to be able to reveal that I only had 2 when I wanted 12, and I could have had 12, I very easily could have had 12, and I didn't. I think that's something to celebrate. So you're making better decisions. I think that's the point. The point is you're put in situations where you really could do a lot of damage in a short period of time. And you're not doing that because you know that you're going to, on the end, at the very end, when you weigh in, and you just said it earlier, your goal is to lose something every week, at least a pound. That's your gold standard. And then there's some weeks where you're getting into that new decade, 320s. When you get into that, close to that, you'll probably tighten things up to get there. And then you'll tighten things up to stay there. So you got a couple weeks stricter, a couple weeks looser. If it averages out at 2 pounds, you are doing tremendously well. That's the point. The point is at 2 pounds a week, you're on a trajectory to lose over 100 pounds in a year. And, you know, the goal that we've outlined, the initial goal of 245, you're 334, you're under 100 pounds. You're under 90 pounds. That's incredible. It's just amazing to be like honing in on that objective the way that you are. And I think it's adding to your motivation. The closer that you get, the more weeks go by with results, you see what's happened. Like you've inserted into your own head a goal of that at least 1 pound without being told by anyone that this is what you have to do. You've told yourself, this is what I want to do.
Yep.
And the reason you've done it is because you have 8 weeks of consistent results behind you. You're looking at those numbers and saying, I've really done a great job these past 8 weeks. I'm proud of myself. I know I can lose at least 1 pound a week. I have evidence. I have data to suggest that even if I have an easy week, a loose week, where I'm eating some candy bars, where I'm cheating more often, I've still lost a pound. That's something that I continuously can do. And that's not something that people realize. They have, a lot of people have the on and off mentality. I'm on the diet, I'm off the diet. If I'm on the diet, I have to be 100% strict. If I'm off the diet, I can eat anything I want, any quantity I want, unlimited, no holds barred. And that's where you get into yo-yo dieting. You should get into problems of gaining, losing, and you end up getting nowhere in the end. You've consistently lost for 8 weeks, and that kind of momentum, knowing that I can lose a pound with a loose diet, minimal exercise, that's doable. That's realistic. It would be foolish for me to say that this is impossible to follow long term because I'm allowing myself the latitude to have fun, to still to enjoy the diet, to be loose with the diet. And you've done that, and it's produced results every single week. And I think that's what's really that and the weekly results, as well as being able to actually live those weeks and know that you had the latitude to make some choices that are not considered weight loss diet material, and you still achieved results.
Yep.
And that's what realistic dieting is all about.
Everything's with purpose right now. So, you know, either I'm having a little bit of fun, but even, you know, when I'm not necessarily doing something that is off script. When I'm on script, it's eating with a purpose because I know it is pushing me towards the goal. And then, if there's a deviation, it's not the norm. It's not the most prevalent. Those are a one-off during the day. The main routine is on script, and so the damage that is done is somewhat limited. It's limited enough where I'm still making the progress. So the routine still stays, and at the same time, like some of these times where I go off script more than others, like I can tell that like that weekend being off script put me in better focus for the weekdays this week. It like so it like I start to feel more confident that when I get the low 330, real low 330, like I'll probably have the stamina to go 2 strong weeks in a row where it's just, like you say, I want to make sure I get to the 320s this week. And then the next week, I really want to make sure I stay in the 320s, solidify that for 2 tough, strict weeks in a row. And when it's short periods of time to be strict that I'm looking at, that's not a daunting chore either. When I know that it's just a short period of time that I'm being, a little bit, well, really strict, I guess, if you want to think of it that way. I mean, it's not like these are torturous either. I'm having foods that are good, it's just not, it's a little bit routine, but I'm not suffering. That's the thing. If I was suffering, this would be not really realistic. This would not be happening. So, but yeah, it's like, this is really working. It's just working. Again, like even if it was just 1 pound a week, it would take longer. And I don't really want it to take longer. I'm interested in, how interested I am in fast results. But yeah, I mean, even then I wouldn't argue with it if as long as I'm moving in the right direction, there's nothing to argue with. But there are times where I really get extra motivated and I feel like I know how, and I feel like I'm able to lock in and execute when those times are, when they come up. So I'm excited.
You see how this process is 100% mental. Like you've created a framework for yourself where you've become your own competition. I'm looking at that number, and now you've taken that number and divided it out into decades. And the 340, getting out of the 350s was the first objective. Then the 340s. Now we're in the 330s. Next will be the 320s. So every 10 pounds feels like a milestone to you, which it is.
It is. Yeah.
And every time it happens, or when you're getting close to it, or after you've surpassed it, the motivation is very high because you've achieved something so significant in your mind that it propels you to put forth extra effort to get there and to sustain it. And then after you're there and you're in the mid 330s like you are, you back off a bit. But you don't back off enough to stop the process from going in the right direction. Yep. So this whole cycle that you've devised in your own head as you're going along, because this is something that you've created based on what works best for you. And you're somebody who likes to be motivated based on having a competition of some sort. If you're not competing against somebody else, you might as well compete against the scale. So you got the scale, and if the scale is your competition, and I'm looking at what the number is, well, yeah, it's 335. So I know this week, I know I'm not getting the 320s. It's not happening. I'm not going to lose that much weight. So I'll just take it easy to lose a pound, whatever. If it's less, that's fine. As long as I'm losing, I'm accepting of that. Do that for a week or two. Then you're closing in on the 320s. Then you're close enough. Then when I'm at 332, the next week, I think I want that 320s. I want it. I want it bad, you know, and then you start feeling the motivation to do what you have to do to get there. It's really cool process. It's really to look at what happens internally, you know, the mental gymnastics that you're going through each and every week to determine what you're going to do that week in order to keep moving in the right direction, but to determine the intensity that you're going to employ based on how close you are to that next 10 pounds, that next decade in your weight loss goal. It's an incredible approach that keeps everything fresh because every 10 pounds is a new achievement. It's something new. It's a new goal. Then the goal at now is to get to the 320s. Once you're there, it's like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I'm in the 320s, but man, I'm going to be like in the teens. Like that's crazy to be in the what? Like that hasn't happened in so many years. Like it just, there's something that happens internally, like the dopamine. You know, the dopamine is supposed to push you towards goals, towards achieving goals. It's supposed to be that motivation that pushes you forward. It's misused so often now in addictions. Like you take something, you get the dopamine for taking it, for doing it, whatever. It's just a quick fix. And then you keep chasing it through the addictive behavior. But really what dopamine is there for, it's to push you towards your goals, towards achieving something constructive, whatever that may be. And in this case, your dopamine starts kicking in when you're getting close to that next 10-pound mark. When you're getting close to the 320s, the dopamine is going to kick in and try to motivate you. It's going to push you. It's going to propel you towards getting into the 320s faster. And when you're there, the dopamine's like, oh, I got to stay in the 320. And then when you're in the middle, it's like, less of a, okay, now I can relax. I back off and then I do it again.
Those short-term, you're right. I mean, those short-term goals every decade is something about it. And I don't know if it's just me, but it really does something for me and it does kick me into a different gear. And I don't know, but it's important. It really is significant. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, if that does it for everybody, but like that, whatever it is that people can lock into, that the short-term goal, breaking it up into chunks, I feel like is a significant portion of this. Very important. Like, because you get, you know, if I looked at this all and just said, I got to lose 100 pounds, you know, and I'm just doing this one pound at a time, that would be, you know, I'm somebody who likes instant gratification, and that would be somewhat frustrating. And I'm not the most, you know, patient person. So like I would just be, I could be frustrated, and that could drive me to give up quicker. But if I take this short-term approach and take it, you know, chunks of 10 at a time, then I'm consistently at a point where I'm within striking distance of a goal that is leading me directly towards that big goal. And so, you know, I'm no further than like, you know, a month and a half from my next big stage, right? So like every month to 6 weeks, I'm hitting another goal on my way to the big goal. So it's like, it's exciting. It stays exciting. It like you say, I got endorphins or whatever it is, adrenaline. I'm like, I get motivated. I really get motivated on a different level than I've been motivated in any kind of, you know, weight loss. Cause I'm like, I will go like almost no carbs in a week where I need to get 2 pounds down. I could probably go, I'd definitely go under 50 carbs a day. If I'm within like a pound or two of getting to that 320 mark, I'm going to be able to do stupid stuff. And,
that's good.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's exactly right. It's about if you had 100-pound weight loss and you looked at that number, and as insurmountable as that seems, like I have to lose 100 pounds. So how close am I going to get this week? How close am I going to get the next week? And then it's like, okay, 2 pounds, 2 pounds, 1 pound, 2 pounds, only 95 to go, 94, 92. Forget about it. That's one quick way to cause somebody to say, what I was doing before wasn't so bad after all. I'm just going to go back to the way it was. Okay, please just release me now. To be honest, what's motivating you is multiple wins. Win, 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 win.
Yeah.
It's like if you're in a casino, gambling. You're in a casino. If someone never won, would they ever gamble? No. If it took never, what would be the point? The point is you're chasing the win, the random win, but you know it could happen anytime. It's the fact that you have that intermittent reinforcement. It happens. It just happens. And then bam, when it happens, you get really excited. And then you keep chasing that excitement. Well, if that win is 100 pounds away, right, I'm not going to get the excitement for the next year. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. We're going to expect somebody to stay on a diet knowing that the only reward they're going to get is 12 months from now. Forget it. It's not happening. There's no possible way that someone's going to stick to a diet in that frame of mind. But if you're getting win after win after win, if you're getting a win every month, you're able to actually divide this up into chunks where there's 12 wins, 10 wins, 12 wins, even more than that when you consider getting into the 320s, for an example, and then getting into the mid 320s to solidify it. A couple of wins. There's 20 wins in this whole process. You're working towards something that's achievable. And then when you get to that next point and you're in the middle, at the midpoint, like in the 330s, mid 330s, you back off. So it's kind of like, okay, now there's a relief stage where I can back off and I can do some of the things that I wasn't doing before, but in a quantity that's going to consistently move me closer to my goal. At a slower pace, but then I'll accelerate as I get closer to the next decade, to the 320s, to the 10s, to the et cetera. So that approach is just consistently rewarding you with something new, and it's giving you something to strive for that's within striking distance, as opposed to something that's so far away that I could never possibly endure what it takes to get there, to get to the payoff. With multiple payoffs, with so many payoffs that you've set for yourself, it allows it to be done in chunks that are easily digestible, so to speak. And that's the reason why it's working so well for you.
Yeah, I think you're right to put it the way you did. Win. I mean, it does feel like a win. And I'm blessed that I actually have that perspective, because I don't know. I don't know. I'm just lucky. I'm lucky because I'm sure that there's times in my past where I just didn't have that mentality where I could look at it that way. But pleased that I do right now, because I know I wouldn't stay with it. I just wouldn't stay with it if I couldn't look at it and be excited about every progress that's happened. Like, I'm mildly excited today that I lost a pound this week, right? Like, at least I'm moving in the right direction. I'm not doing cartwheels or anything, but I'm at least happy that it didn't go the wrong way and it went the right way. So, it's a step in the right direction, and I'm keep on piling up steps in the right direction, and that's how it happened. A week in the wrong direction is basically 2 weeks back, so that's really something that is not an option. It's not an option. I can't afford to do that. I'm not going to be happy with myself if I let that happen. So I'm pretty determined to avoid that. And like this goal of at least a pound, I mean, that kind of just organically came up in my own mind as I've been doing this. And as I started playing around and, got into the weeks where I was a little less motivated than others, where I was in the middle of the decade and just, I wasn't really pushing hard as other weeks. I just knew like I was not as happy with that 0.9 pounds. I want to feel like I'm making enough progress to mean something. And so 1 full pound feels like it's something meaningful. And so, yeah, I mean, I've kind of set that standard as a minimum. And, but, when I know that 10 pounds, I guess that's the average right now, 2 months, 10-pound average. If I can lose 10 pounds a month, that's definitely a win every month, man. That's big. I mean, a big win every month. That's going to keep me coming back to want to play the game again and get another win. And I get some more wins, and all of a sudden, and there's other wins that happen in the process. I mean, I'm only 2 wins into the game. The other day, my boy, he comes up to give me a hug. He wraps his arm around me, and he gets all the way around me this time. I hadn't done that in a while, and he was like, "Dad, let's go, man."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was proud, he was happy that he could get his arms all the way around me when you're bugging. So little stuff like that. My mobility's improved. I'm moving faster when I'm walking. Little things I'm noticing that are big deal. They feel like a big deal to me. I feel younger, and this is only 2 steps down the road. Oh, what a 12-step journey, really, right? If I'm looking at 10 pounds of peat, the 10-pound step. So I can only imagine what this is going to get like, but anybody who is thinking about starting, like 2 steps is going to make a big darn difference, man. I'm telling you, just if you have the will to just get started, man, just get started and stick with it for 8 weeks. What I've been doing this 8 weeks, 2 months. Get serious for 2 months. See what happens. You're gonna want to stay with it. You're gonna want to stay with it. You're gonna be more motivated than you think you can. And I'm not stopping. I'm not gonna stop. This is gonna happen. And I did not have this conviction. I did not have this conviction. Even when we started this, I did not have this level of conviction.
No, you didn't. I can attest to that. It's so well said. Everything that you just outlined, I think everyone needs to take it to heart. And we talked about last week about accountability. And if you have these wins and you have these wins that you're accumulating every few weeks and you have no one to share them with, does it feel like you've won? So you come here every week and reveal your weight, good or bad. And we talk about it, how the week went, what you did right, what you did wrong, what you're going to do differently next week, what you're going to experiment with. And I look at those numbers, and every single week you lost weight. And when you hit that 335, 338, that the first time you were in the 330s, there was a celebration that took place right here. And then when you got in the mid 330s, 2.7 pounds, big week last week, another celebration took place right here. That celebration, the fact that you're able to share that with me and with everybody who's watching, to be able to tell people, look, I'm doing something that I've always really wanted to do deep down, but I really didn't have the motivation to get there. And now the motivation is here because I have goals that are achievable. I have a plan that's realistic, and I have a platform of people to share it with every single week. And by doing that every single week, you know full well that when you get to those wins, you're going to have other people, primarily me, that's going to be applauding, and it's going to be congratulating you. And anybody who's watching is going to get the motivation when they see you succeed to follow in your footsteps. And there's a whole new dimension to this that you've never experienced before because you've never done it that way. You've never tried to do it that way. It's always been do it in isolation, or design a program for me and I'll follow it and I'll do my best following it. It was all done alone. It was all done with the big picture in mind. It wasn't that week to week process that we're doing now, where you analyze everything on a weekly basis, you reveal the results, and then you think about what you did last week and then what you're going to do the following week. The next week, is it going to be more strict? Is it going to be looser? What are the numbers that we're aiming for? So you recalibrate every single week. And when you hit the wins, the multiple wins, you have people that are going to be celebrating with you. And I mean, that counts for so much in keeping somebody motivated and inspired to keep following down the right path when it comes to weight loss or achieving any goal in life.
It's important to have somebody to share things with. And yeah, I mean, dude, you push the right buttons for me, man. You know how to motivate me in a lot of ways, man. And you're the friendship and brotherhood we have, dude. So obviously you're able, me inside to out, dude. You know my mind, you know my heart, you know everything. So yeah, I mean, you're the one that can probably get through to me more than anybody when it comes to disciplining myself. But yeah, I'm blessed to have a friend that is so wise and so spiritually in tune, and just to have the knowledge that you have, but also just the heart that you have. And yeah, I know you've helped a lot of other people in their journeys, and I'm just grateful that you're helping me right now, dude. And this is you've helped me before in different ways with this, but this is the one that you're saving my life, man. You're saving my life. I mean, we talked about this around about turn 49. My dad was 59 when he passed, so it's kind of now or never to get this right, and it's happening. You're doing it, man. You're doing it to me, man. You're getting me fixed. So yeah, I'm stoked.
I love you, brother. And I want you to understand and realize that with all the accolades that you bestowed upon me right now, I accept them all. I say that you were not exaggerating one bit, but I'm about to return the favor because you, my friend, are the one who's doing this each and every week. You are the one who, because we talk for an hour, whatever it is a week. And then all of those hours in between the time we meet, you've got choices to make. What am I going to eat? How much am I going to eat? Am I going to exercise or not? You have a lot of decisions that you can make during that time. That's the time that determines the number. And you're the one who's making the choices that make this happen. And I cannot express how proud I am of you for doing this on a weekly basis. This is habit forming, this 8-week period. We've done 2 months, 20 pounds, 20.4 to be exact, in 2 months. Incredible results. This truly is a lifestyle change. This is transformational to you, to your family, to everybody who knows you, because just like you said, your dad unfortunately passed away at 59. You're 10 years away from 59. And the trajectory that we're headed in now, you literally could be adding 20, 30 years to your age, to your expiration date, if we want to put it that way, because quite clearly at 350 pounds plus and growing, you would have been headed down the same path as your father, but now you're not. And I know, I trust, based on what we're seeing now, that this is going to continue on a weekly basis. And I trust that we're going to get to the goal together. And I trust then we're going to maintain. And I trust that it's going to be the change that you've been seeking, that you deep down, you truly wanted, but didn't have the platform to achieve it until now. And this has, everything now has come together to make it like the perfect storm between us getting together and you being given the latitude to experiment, but still having the accountability every single week, knowing that you're going to show up and you're going to reveal what happened. So that is adding another layer of competition. You're competing against yourself. What can I do this week? And I keep the momentum going. I really want to. Now I went from, I made a commitment. I have to show up to 8 weeks later. I want to do this. I mean, it transformed you from we agreed on this, so I'm going to do it. It's now or never, to 8 weeks later, like, I'm looking forward to seeing what the next week brings. Like, this is actually getting exciting because of what you've been able to achieve. Because when you have no results to show for it, when you're starting, it's kind of hard to get into the mindset that would have any excitement attached to it. With the lifestyle change you're about to embark on, not knowing what the first week brings, etc. But now that you have 8 weeks behind you of consistent weight loss, I mean, it is quite obvious that your whole attitude has transformed in only 2 months. And that goes, I think it just shows what following a routine with support and with love from someone who cares about you, following beside you throughout the entire process, what that can do to motivate somebody to follow the proper path and to get where they need to go. So I just congratulate you for everything that you're doing. I'm so proud of you, and I cannot wait to see what next week brings, because it's been great so far, and I anticipate it will continue to be.
That's where I'm at too. And I mean, I'll just say one more thing. I saw a good buddy of mine who lives, a few hours away, and I hadn't seen him in a number of months. So he just saw me this weekend, and he noticed obviously a difference physically in my appearance. So he mentioned something. So it's nice to get those compliments. But I'm not talking to many people about what I'm doing, personally. And so I don't feel like I need to go sharing a whole lot with people, but it's nice when they bring it up, then I'll say something, if they ask. I do think that the conversations with you are satisfying my need, because there is the need to have somebody who has a heart for you to share these celebrations with, the wins with. And if I, heaven forbid, have a setback, even though I know you're going to blast me, I still know you're going to be there to catch me too. So, and get me back on the horse, so that one loss doesn't turn into two. So, you need a ride or die, somebody who loves you, that's supporting you. But you don't need 50,000 followers. You just need one person that loves you, and that's all I need anyway. That with me, no matter what, through this, that I can share the highs and lows with. And you're that, dude. So I appreciate it.
I just want to clarify, at 334.2, I'm not going to be here to catch you. But maybe a year from now, possibly.
You're Diesel, man. I think you can handle it.
Come on, man. Well, you gotta give me a little bit of latitude. You want me to be able to show up here every week, right? So, all right, you don't want to take me out now. I mean, we got good momentum going, so we just wait. Let's wait until we get a little bit further in the process.
I think you can manage
for anything like that to happen. I'm so proud of you, man. Just thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Thank you, because thank you because I know the consequence of this. Our friendship has endured for 30 plus years, and I want it to go for another 30 plus years. The only way that's going to happen is for this to happen. So I just thank you for jumping on board and deciding to be here every single week and to do what's necessary to get the job done. Man, I love you so much.
Love you too, man. This is not even work anymore, man. I'm starting to really enjoy. It's a game, and now at this point, it's a competition. It's a game, and I'm having fun. And I look forward to these conversations.
Yes. I love it, dude. I love it. Yeah. That's so well said. Thanks again, man. And I'll see you next week for more good results. I'm
go.
going to see what you have in store for us. I'm always excited to see what the number is and what went into that number. So next week we'll talk about it again. And I love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
Can you hear me? Speak.
Can you hear me?
Sit. Roll over.